A Northwest Arkansas teacher is fired for sending heated letters to lawmakers concerning a teaching bill. Now, this all stems from the 1619 Project, which teaches about the history of the first slaves on what is now American soil, their contributions to America after gaining its independence, and the impact that history has on society today. The program teaches the United States was not founded in 1776, but in 1619 when a slave ship arrived in Virginia. Now, today, some students at Arkansas Arts Academy in Rogers walked out in support of their history teacher who was fired. Josh Depner was fired after sending those heated letters to lawmakers about the bill pertaining to the 1619 Project. 5 News reporter Allie Lynch explains.
A small group of legislators shouldn't commandeer the curriculum, especially to steer it away from teaching an inclusive history and making sure that we examine even the uglier and more difficult to reckon with parts of our common heritage.
In the message sent from his school email account, Depner criticizes lawmakers about House Bill 1218 and House Bill 1231, saying in part, "Your recent bill is an appalling attempt to further whitewash history. It is absolutely nothing less than an attempt to codify white supremacy in Arkansas schools." Depner then sent another email onto lawmakers apologizing, saying he is emotional and stressed out from the COVID-19 pandemic. The apology email states, "I am sincerely sorry for how I address these concerns. It is no way to speak to anyone, regardless of any disagreements. I hope that you can appreciate that we all have weaknesses and flaws, and in this case, I succumbed to frustration." After Depner was fired from the Arkansas Arts Academy, we reached out to the CEO. He tells 5 News the reason behind the termination is due to Depner violating the personnel, technology agreements, and educators' code of ethics. Depner says he believes he should be reinstated.
Absolutely. I've been with the school for 3 years. I have an exemplary record. I have no documentation of ever being written up. In fact, on the day I was fired, I received a Teacher of the Year nomination from my principal that terminated me.
Today, some students from the school where Depner was fired walked out in support of his efforts. Depner was also there and says schools in Arkansas should be teaching all sides, not one over the other.
Conservative and progressive alike agree that we need to be teaching the truth. And so that includes Black history. Black history is our history. Black history is American history. You cannot omit it from classrooms in Arkansas.
Some of Depner's former students believe their teacher deserves a second chance, and there needs to be more teachers willing to fight for their education.
He was fighting for what we deserve to learn as a society, as a nation, overall.
He always cares for his students, no matter what. He's always there, and he makes learning fun.
Other students say Depner should receive consequences for his actions, although firing him went too far. In Rogers, covering news where you live, Allie Lynch, 5 News.